coverage now, President Trump's State of the Union address. Our national correspondent, Atra El-Nashar, joining us on Capitol Hill to give us a bit of insight. Atra, ultimately, what was the president's goal with this, and did he accomplish it?
Hey, good evening, Josh. Good to be with you. This late in the evening on this historic night. Look, the president and his allies wanted tonight to be a reset with the public, with voters, at a time when the president's acknowledged his poll numbers are slipping. And that's because of a majority of Americans are not satisfied with how he's handled their top issue. And that, of course, is the cost of living. It's why we saw the president spend so much of this 107-minute speech detailing what he says are tangible savings. We're talking no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, lowering the cost of some prescription drugs, lower gas prices. And this is, and as much as viewers at home, remember Republicans in the House chamber tonight up for re-election were hanging on every word that the president said about tariffs, as they're also going to be held accountable for the president's record in November.
And Atra, what did we hear from the Democratic rebuttal from Governor Spanberger? A crisp 12 minutes there.
Right, yeah. We love something short after a 107-minute speech. But look, Governor Spanberger got straight to the point, saying that the president has made life about $1,700 more expensive for American families through tariff costs. And she asked viewers, this was the quote I wrote down at the beginning, Josh. She said, "Is the president working to make life more affordable for you and your family?" We all know the answer is no. So keeping it pretty simple in her messaging, asking voters to think about these things. She also voiced support for law enforcement. And this does two things strategically, perhaps. It helps counter concerns that in the face of violent clashes with ICE, that Democrats might lean back into the defund the police rhetoric that was seen as a political liability in the past. And Spanberger used it to argue that the president and Republicans are not the party of law and order. So this was a speech to counter the president and offer voters with an alternative in the midterms.
Great perspective. Atra El-Nashar live on Capitol Hill. Thanks for staying up late with us. And as Atra mentioned, Governor Abigail Spanberger delivered the Democratic response, and they are hoping her message will resonate with people on a national scale. For even more perspective to talk about this, David Ramadan, former Virginia House delegate, current George Mason professor, is joining us live now. David, what do you think of the choice to pick Spanberger in the first place? She was just elected a couple of months ago to the governorship.
Smart choice. Thanks for having me, Josh. A very smart choice by the Democrat. As you all saw, she is incredible. She can get straight to the point. She can get the message across. And she is the bright star of the Democratic Party. She just won Virginia by 65 points. And that's a huge rebuttal to Donald Trump by her election. Just her being in the governor's mansion was the voters' rebuttal to President Trump, and now she delivered the Democrats' rebuttal tonight. And I think she did a masterful job doing it. 12 points where she refuted the actions of the president. She made sure to bring up tariffs as a cost of $1,700 per family. I took some notes. She talked about affordability, of course. She reminded Virginians and the rest of America about the Doge cuts, about corruption, about Epstein, about the naming and that grandiose positioning that the president has done, putting his picture and his name on everything. Yet she ended up with a very positive message. She quoted George Washington. She talked about how George Washington warned us about that one person. Yet she talked about really the shining city on the hill. She didn't name it that, but that's what she was talking about. 250 more years of a great America. Doing it together with patriotism and with taking care of business.
Do you think her message, David, is going to be the general one for Democrats heading into the midterms? There's a clear reason she was picked tonight.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, the Democrats proved that talking about affordability, talking about kitchen table issues were the winning issues in this gubernatorial election. If we go back just 2 months ago, Josh, the Republican nominee for governor of Virginia was talking about transgender issues. Obviously, that didn't work. I was surprised to see the president bring up transgender issues today in his State of the Union address. That's not what Americans are talking about. Social issues are not the worry of the independents. They're the worry of maybe the far right and the far left, but not the independents. And to win elections, you need the independents. Her election, Her campaign was very principled throughout her campaign. I saw that closely and watched that closely and participated deeply in that during the last campaign. And obviously that was the right message. That's why she won by 65 points, and that's obviously going to be the game and the playbook that Democrats will follow. If they do so, they'll win. If they don't, and look, there's no guarantee, but if they're smart, they'll follow the Spanberger playbook. And if they follow the Spanberger playbook, they will win the midterm elections and most likely will gain control of the House and Congress.
All right, Dr. David Ramadan, a professor at George Mason, spent some time in the Virginia House of Delegates with some analysis on the choice of Abigail Spanberger, the Virginia governor, and her response to the State of the Union. Dr. Ramadan, thanks for staying up with us tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh.